So we have Marianne Williamson with us today. Marianne, how are you doing? And thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad to be on your show.
I just wanted to tell you, Marianne, a return to love
Great.
changed my life. Thank you.
That is so kind. I'm so happy to hear it.
Yes, yes. And I know you are a busy woman right now. Congratulations on running for Congress.
Thank you. Thank you.
How is a year of miracles? I feel like that should be the theme for your campaign.
Yeah, really, no kidding. Me too.
Yes, I wanted to ask you, did you always have a feeling that you'd be doing this?
Running for Congress?
Yes.
No, I didn't. But I have always been interested in politics, and I have felt before this that my greatest contribution would be discussing ideas and values as they pertain to our world, politics, as well as everything else. But I feel that what's happening in our country today is such that we can't leave electoral politics out of whatever formula we are trying to come up with for transforming the world. So I feel more women particularly need to run for office. I think we need to bring certain values into the experience that are dominating our political functioning today.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought I should run. It just felt like the calling of my heart, and so I'm doing it.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm so curious because I mean you're known for being a best-selling author, a spiritual guru, a teacher, and Congress and spirituality is certainly not synonymous. So I'm wondering, at what point in your life or what happened? Was there any specific pivotal moment in your life that moved you towards a certain knowingness that this is the path that you need to take?
I wouldn't say that. I think that mine has been a process, as is everyone's, of gradual awakening.
Mm.
I think that that's how life moves. I don't particularly prescribe or subscribe to this eureka moment vision of personal transformation. We all have epiphanies, moments when you see something, moments of clarity, moments when you get it. But I think personal growth in general is a slower trudge through the issues of our lives. That's what seems to be true to me. It certainly has been my experience.
Yes. And when in a return to love, you describe a miracle, as a shift in perception.
Yes.
In the House of Representatives, there's like 435 members. I'm wondering, how do you envision guiding the collective towards that miracle or a miracle?
Well, it will not be my job, if I have the honor of becoming Congresswoman, it will not be my job to guide anyone else who is there. It will be my job to express the values of my constituency as I understand them and as I have been elected to do. I would not be coming in with any presumptuous notion that it's mine to tell other people how to vote their conscience and for their constituents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that we're all here to demonstrate, not to do someone else's work for them.
Right. You were quoted as saying that we need more than the audacity of hope. This time we need the audacity of power. And what do you mean by that, the audacity of power?
Well, what I say there actually is we need the audacity to wield power.
Mm-hmm.
The audacity of hope is one thing, but it's still passive.
Yes.
The audacity to wield power is to actually do something. And I think, the audacity of hope was very much a slogan of President Obama's campaign in 2008.
Yes.
And we did hope. We did hope.
Yeah, we did.
And I think now we need to get more proactive and do what we feel, not just depend on the president or anyone else, but what we feel needs to be done now. And the House of Representatives is the people's house.
Yes.
It's, the founders thought it would be the farmer for a while, and then the shopkeeper for a while, and then the candle maker for a while. House of Representatives should be a place where just regular citizens are expressing their views and wielding power on behalf of our country. not just some political elite. And
Right.
yet, too often, the House, like every other aspect of our government, is dominated by a political elite, and that's because money dominates our politics the way it does. Until we get rid of the money in politics, probably through a constitutional amendment that will outlaw its undue influence, then I think we're going to be in real trouble in this country. And that's why I feel that all of us need to get active now and do more than simply be hopeful.
Yes, yes. And as we know, as you described it in your book, and this is, something that I use every day in my life, just these reflections on the principles of A Course in Miracles. And I wonder, you are the author of the book, obviously, and you've changed so many lives with what you've written here. I'm wondering, how are you using these principles in your campaign and during your run?
Well, I'm seeking to live in the present. I'm seeking to do the best I can. I'm seeking to make this campaign an expression and a container for politics of possibility, where humanitarian rather than economic principles are exalted, where I am putting forth the notion that love should be the bottom line in our politics as well as everything else. So I believe that the entire message of the campaign is one that is infused with beliefs and values and principles that are not the traditional political norm.
Yeah.
That are issues, principles, and values of the heart.
Yes.
You don't ignore the fact that a loving country, a country that makes love the bottom line, does not ignore the fact that we have 1 in 5 American children living in poverty. A country living from its heart does not ignore the fact that an African American man has a 1 in 3 lifetime probability of incarceration.
Yes.
For a country of heart, we don't tolerate the level of economic injustice that sends millions of people into poverty every day in this country through no fault of their own. For a country of heart, we don't so carelessly disregard the needs of the planet, the environment.
Yes.
And thus our future.
Yes. Yes. And something, Marianne, honestly, it's been a long time. For a couple of years now, I've stopped reading up on politics. I've stopped reading about what's happening in the government and in politics in general. And the reason is because it had taken a toll on my spirit. And I have found so many things wrong and a lot of reasons to blame it on the government or on Congress, whatever the case may be. I wanted to talk to you about your take on government and forgiveness.
Well, I think the United States has some apologies to make.
Yes.
I think forgiveness is not just an issue of what we grant, but also what we ask for. I think the United States has, some atoning to do. Abraham Lincoln, declaring a day of prayer and fasting, said that a nation has to confess its sins. I think that the Iraq War is a particular example. I think the United States government owes a huge apology to all of our veterans who fought in that war. That war was criminally negligent in my mind.
Yes.
There was no point in it. They had not attacked us. And there were many people within our intelligence community who passionately debated whether or not, argued whether or not there were really weapons of mass destruction in the hands of Saddam Hussein. And I think there were people who knew that and didn't care because their agenda was to perpetrate that war no matter what. And I think for us to face that is very painful.
Yes.
I think that that's true also of the Vietnam War. It was just a huge mistake. So, after World War II, Germany did a lot of apologizing. I'm not, by the way, declaring a moral equivalence between the Vietnam War and the Iraq War and Hitler's Germany. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that the United States has done some things that are not anything to be proud of. And being patriotic doesn't mean that you deny that.
Yes.
We have perpetrated some imperialistic ventures of our own.
Yes.
We have often treated the world like it was just ours to play with. Even all the problems we have with the Islamist revolution in Iran. Well, how did they get there? In part because we, the United States government, overthrew their democratically elected president in the 1950s. We did that and put the Shah in, and then the Islamist revolution was in revolt against him. He was no good guy.
Yeah.
We were doing that because of our own our own desires regarding oil in the Middle East. So, we have, they say in AA that an individual is as sick as their secrets. Well, so is a nation.
Yes.
And we have
So true.
some atoning to do ourselves.
Indeed. Well, this is probably a bold statement to make, but I do see you in Congress. I see you actually winning the nomination. And should that happen, the way that I see it, what about the egos? The egos, as you describe it, is not of love, but of fear. How do you see yourself navigating a sea of egos in Congress?
Well, navigating the ego that we need to navigate is not other people's. As I was saying before, the ego I have to navigate is my own. And that doesn't begin the day I win a congressional seat, in case I do. I'm in a political campaign right now. And believe me, I have plenty of opportunity to and challenge navigating my ego. This is a very stressful situation.
Yes.
So, God did not send us here to monitor other people's process, but to monitor vigilantly our own.
Yes.
And I have a full-time job trying to make myself the person I want to be, without thinking it's my job to monitor other people's journey to the same destination.
Yeah. And I just wonder, how is that? Like, where does the strength or the centeredness come from? Where do you pull from to kind of keep that at bay, that ego at bay during this, like you said, a stressful time?
I'm a student of A Course in Miracles. Prayer, meditation, doing the workbook of the Course in Miracles. These are the things that I use as tools. And, I've always said my life works really well when I practice what I preach.
Yes.
And when I don't, if my heart is not consequences, just like everybody else does, it's just the way life works.
Yes. Yes. I wanted to ask you, the label of New Age guru. Back in November, the New York Times had labeled you as such. Did it occur to you that, you're sort of taking an unbeaten path, and that, should you win, you'd be Congress's first so-called New Age guru? How did you kind of put that into perspective?
Well, calling someone a New Age guru is simply a way to completely trivialize their work. The elite, the media and political elite would call you a New Age guru in order to indicate that you couldn't possibly be a serious thinker, that you're just a fuzzy-brained woo-woo who has no serious thought in your head. And it's very difficult to fight a caricature.
Yes.
But I do think that kind of silliness had more power, let's say, 20 years ago than it does today. Because the kind of thing that I talk about is hardly fringe. Today you're fringe if you don't know the new perspective and conversation. You're the law of attraction radio. People have now read The Secret and so forth. So yes. I'm not, it's a little personally embarrassing and humiliating. I will tell you that. But it's not something where I'm worried that serious people will get pulled in by it, because serious people read the same books I do.
Yes, yes. Do you think Congress is ready for to implement, the type of thinking, your type of thinking, in terms of, spirituality, or being able to see things from a heart and mind perspective, as opposed to hitting hard facts or, theories that are kind of hard hitting, which most people, I feel, in politics kind of derive their decisions?
Well, first of all, I think that there are many people in Congress, probably more than we know, who read the same books we're reading and are thinking the same kinds of thoughts that we're thinking, because this is the zeitgeist of the times in which we live. Now, I don't think that spirituality means we're not hard-hitting. I just think it means that we deal with cause and not just effect, and it means that we deal with the actual disease and not just the symptoms. I don't know how other people treat these things, but I know how I and people that I know and respect do, and that is that you can't just treat the effect. You have to treat the cause. And I look forward to the opportunity, should it be given me, to say that on the floor of the House of Representatives. I think those are the exact kinds of things that need to be said. And in a representative democracy, People are there to say what they think, having their message having emerged from their relationship to their own constituency. And here, in my community, if I am given this assignment of going to Washington, I will speak from a deeper, more enlightened perspective, because I know that that's where what the voters will have sent me to do.
Yes. Yes. And by the way, everyone, just want to mention MarianneForCongress.com and donate $5 for her campaign. You can go to that website, MarianneForCongress.com, donate $5. I know that you have a lot, several different issues that you are passionate about, but which one hits closest to home for you?
I think getting the money out of politics is the most important thing we need to do, because it's the cancer underlying all the cancers. It's the issues underlying all the other issues.
Mm-hmm.
Until we get the money out of politics, we will not be able to deal adequately with the environment and global climate change, because the fossil fuel companies will be dominating our decision making. We will not have universal health care because health insurance companies and pharmaceutical companies will be dominating our decision making.
Mm-hmm.
We will not be able to deal adequately with the issues of GMOs and the corruption of our food supply, because chemical companies and big agriculture will be dominating our food supply, and so forth. So as a consequence, I think that that's the first thing that we all need to be very concerned with, probably all the way up to and including a constitutional amendment that would absolutely outlaw the undue influence of money. In addition to that, I'm very interested in making preschool universally available, not mandatory, because some Americans simply don't want to send their children to school before 5, and I understand that.
Right.
But it is the greatest poverty alleviator when children, particularly disadvantaged children, do go to preschool, because otherwise they start behind the other kids on day 1 of kindergarten, and if we don't catch them up, they're on a probability track to incarceration.
Yes. Wow. What is your general message to the listeners that are listening to you right now?
That we cannot be selectively conscious. We can't be selectively awake. We can't say, oh, I'm conscious about food, I'm conscious about my body, I'm conscious about my relationships, but then not be conscious about politics. You can't use some odd idea of what spiritual is as a convenient excuse for not helping.
Right.
You know, no serious spiritual journey, no serious spiritual path gives anyone a pass on addressing the suffering of other sentient beings. Mahatma Gandhi said, anybody who thinks that religion doesn't have anything to do with politics doesn't understand religion.
Right.
And I thought that was very important.
Yes.
Religion is not just about prayer, it's about putting feet to your prayers. And I think politics is one of the ways that we put feet to our prayers.
Oh, absolutely. Indeed. I think that's a profound statement. So let me ask you this question. It's kind of, there's going to be a couple questions. Just tell me whatever comes to your mind. Living or dead, if you had the opportunity to learn from a spiritual guru, living or dead, who would it be?
Jesus.
I knew you were going to say that. I absolutely agree. I would too. If you had an opportunity to live in a specific era besides this one, which one would it be and why?
I think to have lived among and known Thomas Jefferson and John Adams and George Washington and James Madison and those guys would have been truly amazing.
Yes. Nice. And if there is one word that after you are gone that you would like your name to be known for, just one word, what would it be?
Love.
Beautiful. Perfect. Well, I really appreciate you being on the show, Marianne. Is there any last thing you would like to say?
I just want to say something to women.
Yes.
I think American women could be and should be a moral force on the planet. I think sometimes we forget the extraordinary power that we have, given our numbers, and given the fact that we have these numbers in such a powerful country. And so no woman should ever feel that she doesn't matter, she doesn't count, or that she can't make a difference. None of us alone can make a difference, but all of us together can make a tremendous difference. So in whatever area that we feel that we could contribute our skills and our help, I think it's so important.
Yeah.
When a woman is pregnant, they often say you're eating for two, and it's true.
Mm-hmm.
When you think how many millions of women don't have a fraction of the power, the opportunity that we have to do as we wish and to speak their minds, I think every time an American woman uses her power on behalf of someone else, let's remember we're doing this on behalf of millions around the world who cannot do this.
I'm so glad you said that, because I think a lot of women most of the time believe they're unworthy in different areas to achieve.
Well, we are worthy because we're children of God. No one is more or less worthy than anyone else. We are all, at the deepest parts of ourselves, glorious, innocent beings who make mistakes sometimes, but who are held and protected as sources of love and the great source of who we are. And I think when we make that spiritual shift from thinking of ourselves only in terms of our mortal self to thinking of ourselves in terms of the immortal that lives within us, all of that, those feelings of unworthiness begin to dissolve.
Wow. That's pretty profound. You are absolutely amazing, Marianne. The way you put words together is truly a gift.
Thank you so much.
Marianne, thank you so much for being with us today.
And it was wonderful being on your show, and I wish you the very best with everything you do. Much love.